Imagine living a lifetime believing that you deeply know the person you love, only to discover, at the most unexpected moment, that you were completely mistaken. What if her father, always so simple and reserved, hid a secret that could change everything? We are used to thinking that wealth translates into luxury, expensive cars and mansions. But what if the true millionaire was someone who never showed off? It seems contradictory, doesn't it? However, this story brings to light an intriguing truth. Often, money does not reveal who we really are, but rather our actions in the face of adversity. What would you do if you found out that while you were struggling, your father owned millions and never mentioned it? And why would he choose to hide something so powerful? Get ready, because the answer to this question will challenge everything you think about wealth, happiness, and the true meaning of life. Before we dive into this surprising story, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and make sure you don't miss any of our powerful reflections on life, success, and overcoming. Activate the bell to be the first to receive videos that can transform the way you see the world and the opportunities around you. Shall we do this? In a typical classroom, full of restless students, the teacher begins asking questions about historical events. One of these highlights is the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. Sometimes young people don't realize the impact these events had on today's world. Imagine yourself back then, seeing a literal barrier fall and bringing together people who had been separated for so long. It's not just a history lesson. It's a powerful reminder that barriers, whether physical or emotional, can always be broken. But look, in the rush of everyday life, sometimes we forget to look at these lessons and reflect on how they can influence our lives today. One of the students, Gabby, tries to respond but hesitates. Maybe she wasn't expecting a question like that, or maybe the subject seemed too far from her reality. This is a very common scenario, especially when young people feel like the story is disconnected from their personal experiences. However, knowing about the past prepares us for the future. For example, if you think about leadership, studying leaders like Nelson Mandela, or even moments of unity, like the fall of the Berlin Wall, can teach you about resilience and collaboration. These examples are all around us. We just need to know where to look. And speaking of looking, have you ever stopped to think about how some lessons go unnoticed because we don't ask the right questions? Often, the key to understanding the present lies in the past. For example, instead of just memorizing dates, why not reflect on how the fall of a wall can inspire a more open mindset? This applies not only to political barriers, but also to our personal and professional barriers. Sometimes, we build our own walls without realizing it. And let's face it, breaking down these walls can be a very difficult task, but not impossible. The classroom, in this scenario, is more than just a teaching place. It becomes a space for debate, reflection, and, at times, discomfort. After all, discussing topics like the Berlin Wall can raise deeper questions. How do we deal with our own internal divisions? Do we really know the value of freedom? Gabby, when hesitating about her answer, may be going through one of those moments of reflection in which the weight of the story begins to make sense. And believe me, this can happen to all of us in different situations in life. It is interesting to note how we often underestimate the power of a simple question in the classroom. What seems like a trivial issue can actually plant seeds of change in those listening. And, of course, for the teacher, these questions are fundamental to stimulating critical thinking. How many times do we find ourselves reflecting on something we heard years ago? Sometimes the impact is not immediate, but the lesson remains hidden, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Gabby, like many students, may not have the answers ready at that moment, but that's okay. The important thing is to be willing to learn, question, and open yourself to new perspectives. The most valuable lessons rarely come easy. They require us to challenge ourselves, to leave our comfort zone. And it is in this process of discomfort that true learning happens. Perhaps, at the end of that class, Gabby left with more questions than answers. But that's part of the journey. Returning to the Berlin Wall, this class also teaches about the importance of unity. In life, we often face our own versions of walls, which separate us from our goals or those of other people. Learning about how this symbol of division was torn down can inspire us to tear down our own obstacles. After all, history is not just about what happened, but about what we can still learn and apply. A wall can fall, and with it, new opportunities can arise. Furthermore, this type of classroom discussion can open up space for deeper debates on contemporary issues. What we learn from history can help us better understand the present. And this is one of the beauties of knowledge. It expands, connects, and transforms us. In the same way that Gabby began to question herself at that moment, we can also ask ourselves, what are the walls that we still need to break down in our lives? The interesting thing about this discussion is how it invites us to look beyond the obvious. Yes, the fall of the Berlin Wall was a historic milestone. But what does it really mean for us today? How can we apply this lesson in everyday life? It's not just about remembering dates and facts. It's about understanding the impact these events have on our daily choices. And sometimes, the simple act of reflecting on this is the first step towards change. Gabby, without realizing it, is starting to see the world from a new perspective. And so, we conclude this first topic of the class with a reflection on how history connects to our lives, paving the way for the next point in Gabby's narrative, an opportunity that arises unexpectedly, transforming her trajectory. When Gabby receives the news that she has been accepted with a full scholarship to Harvard, the shock is palpable. Everyone around her is surprised, not only by the prestigious university, but also because Gabby comes from a humble family, where opportunities like this don't come along often. Imagine the feeling of having your hopes and dreams validated in such a grand way. It's the kind of achievement that transforms lives and shows that, with determination and hard work, circumstances don't have to define someone's destiny. Gabby has undoubtedly worked hard for this, and her victory is proof that it is possible to achieve the impossible. But for Gabby, this news goes beyond personal pride. She carries with her the responsibility of representing her family and her community, which are often underestimated. In each individual victory, there is a collective weight, especially when coming from a reality where opportunities are scarce. Deep down, she knows that her journey can inspire others not to give up, even when circumstances seem challenging. This scholarship to Harvard is, in fact, a sign that effort is rewarded, but also that new responsibilities come with great achievements. The interesting thing about this scenario is that society often underestimates those who come from humbler origins. Harvard, one of the most prestigious universities in the world, might not have expected someone like Gabby. However, her talent and dedication speak for themselves. This kind of achievement makes us wonder, how many Gabbys are there out there, just waiting for an opportunity? Opportunities are like doors. Some are already open, while others need to be forced. Gabby forced hers, and now the world seems so much bigger and more accessible to her. It's important to note that in situations like Gabby's, success doesn't come without challenges. Upon receiving this news, she also faces looks of disbelief and even envy. After all, it's not every day that someone from your background receives a scholarship to Harvard. This type of reaction is common in any scenario of great achievement, but Gabby knows that her focus should be on her own growth, not the opinions of others. After all, she worked hard for this, and now is the time to reap the rewards of her efforts. What we can learn from this story is that great opportunities do not choose who is worthy based on origin or status, but rather on effort and talent. If you want to achieve something great like Gabby, you need resilience and focus. A practical example would be investing time in developing skills that can open doors, such as mastering a second language or improving your knowledge in specific areas. Furthermore, it is important to always be prepared for when the opportunity arises because, as in Gabby's case, it can appear when you least expect it. Another interesting point is how this unexpected news changes Gabby's perspective on the future. Suddenly, what seemed distant is now within reach. This change in mindset is essential for personal growth. When we allow ourselves to believe that success is possible, we begin to behave differently, to act with more confidence and determination. Gabby, with her scholarship to Harvard, symbolizes this internal transformation that we can all experience when we believe in our own potential. And of course, there's also the question of what impact this opportunity will have on Gabby's life in the long run. Studying at Harvard will open doors she never knew existed. But more than that, she will become a living example that it doesn't matter where you come from, it's where you're going. Your success will be an inspiration to many, showing that it is possible to overcome adversity and achieve your dreams, regardless of your initial circumstances. Gabby now becomes a leader, not just in her family, but in her community. However, even with this achievement, Gabby also needs to face internal challenges. The fear of not living up to expectations is something everyone faces at some point. But courage is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward in spite of him. Gabby, with her scholarship to Harvard, will likely face doubts and insecurities. But she also has the opportunity to learn and grow from each obstacle. Every step she takes towards her future will be a testament to her strength and resilience. The scholarship news is a turning point for Gabby, but also an opportunity for reflection. She understands that her journey doesn't end here. On the contrary, it is just beginning. What comes next will be a mix of new challenges and opportunities, and she will have to be prepared to deal with both. The scholarship to Harvard is not only a recognition of your talent, but also a call to continue striving and growing, both as a student and as a person. And just like that, Gabby's life changes forever, with the promise of a bright future ahead of her. The next stage of your journey will bring new challenges, but also great rewards. She's about to discover that life, like her scholarship, is full of surprises, good and bad, and that true success comes from how we handle those surprises. And speaking of surprises, the next challenge Gabby will face is much more personal. The financial difficulties and social prejudice that come with her humble origins. Gabby's life has never been easy. From an early age, she and her friends learned firsthand what it was like to be ridiculed for not having the same financial conditions as others. The disdainful looks, the whispers in the hallways, the hidden giggles. All of this was part of their daily lives. For many people, poverty is a mark that carries deep stigmas, and, as is common in these cases, the attacks came not only from strangers, but also from colleagues, those who should be on your side, but who felt superior because they were in a more comfortable situation. Society, in many ways, continues to measure someone's worth by the things they possess, not their character. Gabby felt this intensely, especially when she looked at her clothes. While others paraded around in designer clothes and expensive backpacks, she had to settle for simple, often patched pieces. The curious thing is that, for her, that was normal, until the nasty comments started. Children, and even teenagers, can be cruel when they encounter something that differs from the norm. And Gabby, with her humility, was an easy target. But what those colleagues didn't understand was that she carried an inner strength far greater than any luxury item could offer. True value is not in what we wear, but in what we are able to overcome. Still, dealing with this reality every day was a test of patience and resilience. When you're constantly reminded of your economic status, it can be difficult to maintain self-esteem. With each sarcastic comment, Gabby felt her confidence shaken, but she never let it define her. Here's a valuable lesson for anyone going through something similar. Other people's words only have as much power as you give them. Instead of letting herself get down, Gabby used these moments as fuel to move forward, determined to prove that her worth wasn't in what she wore, but in what she achieved. Imagine what would have happened if Gabby had allowed the insults to shape her view of herself. Maybe she wouldn't have persisted in her studies. She wouldn't have dedicated herself so much as to get that scholarship to Harvard. This is the great teaching here. When we let other people's opinions dictate our actions, we lose control of our own narrative. Gabby knew this, and even on the hardest days, she found the strength to continue. A practical example would be when you, in a situation of adversity, choose to focus on what you can control, such as your skills and attitudes, instead of focusing on what you cannot change, such as external circumstances. It is interesting to see how poverty not only affects the pocket, but also the psychological. Gabby lived with the weight of being seen as the poor one at school, and this affected her social interactions. She often felt excluded from events and conversations because she simply couldn't participate in the same way as others. This kind of silent exclusion is devastating, but Gabby, with her determination, never allowed it to dim her shine. She knew that although she couldn't change her financial reality at that moment, she could work to build a better future. A point to be highlighted is that poverty is often not a choice, but rather an imposed circumstance. Gabby didn't ask to be born into a family with financial difficulties, but she learned to deal with this reality as best she could. And in a way, these difficulties shaped her. The adversities we face throughout life, however painful they may be, are also responsible for transforming us into who we are. Gabby has learned to be strong, resilient, and focused, and those are qualities that money can't buy. In addition to bullying, Gabby also faced veiled prejudice from some adults around her. Teachers, neighbors, even family acquaintances often underestimated their capabilities simply because of their economic status. This is something many people face on a daily basis, being seen as less capable just because of their circumstances. However, Gabby's story shows us that the true measure of someone is not in their bank balance, but in their determination to overcome obstacles. Another important aspect of this phase of Gabby's life is how she learned to value the little she had. While her colleagues despised her simple clothes, she knew the effort her family made to ensure she had what she needed. This kind of gratitude is rare, but it is one of the most valuable lessons anyone can learn. When we value what we have, no matter how small, we make room to receive even more. And that's exactly what happened to Gabby. Her gratitude for life and her constant effort prepared her for the great achievements to come. Gabby also developed a unique skill, empathy. Because she had gone through so many difficulties, she was able to better understand other people's suffering and help others in a more genuine way. Instead of becoming bitter, like so many who face difficulties, she chose the path of compassion. And that is a powerful example for all of us. No matter what we face, we always have the choice to use our experiences to do good. The world needs more people like Gabby, who turn pain into purpose. And so, as Gabby faced daily prejudice and the hardships of living in poverty, she also began to realize that these experiences were shaping her for something greater. Life was preparing her for greater challenges and, eventually, unexpected rewards. The next big obstacle she would face would not be about what she wore, but about something much deeper: her father's illness and the emotional toll it would have on her life. The moment Gabby finds out her father is sick is devastating. The news comes as an unexpected blow, breaking the feeling of normality she had, despite all the adversities she faced. Until then, despite her financial reality, she had always seen her father as a strong figure, a safe haven. But suddenly, that man who had always been by her side, who fought so hard to keep the family together, was weakened. And in that moment, Gabby realizes that some battles cannot be won with willpower alone. The fear of losing someone she loves so deeply begins to set in, and she knows that life will never be the same. A loved one's illness brings an emotional roller coaster. Gabby, still young, is forced to mature faster than she would like. She begins to see the world from a new perspective, not just one of struggle and financial overcoming, but now of dealing with mortality and the inevitable. Life often puts us in situations where we have no choice but to move forward, even if our hearts are in pieces. Gabby realizes that time with her father is running out, and that every moment becomes more precious. And it is at this point that we understand the fragility of life, something that many only realize when they face an imminent loss. Gabby's father, even though he is ill, tries to hide his fragility for a while, probably so as not to burden his daughter. This is common in many families. Parents, with their protective instinct, prefer to suffer in silence to spare their children the pain. However, when the truth comes out, it comes as a shock to Gabby. She has always believed in his strength, but now she needs to face a reality that she cannot change. At that moment, she understands that, as much as she wanted to, there is no way to save everyone we love. The disease brings a harsh lesson about acceptance and resilience. Another important point to consider is the emotional impact of this revelation on Gabby's own mental health. It's not easy to process the information that someone so important in your life is slowly saying goodbye. Many times, we find ourselves forced to find strength where we thought there was no more energy. Gabby, despite all her suffering, tries to keep her head up. The lesson here is that, in the face of the greatest pain, our inner strength is tested to the limit. And although it may seem impossible, it is in the moments of greatest pain that we discover true resilience. Gabby also realizes that as she deals with her father's illness, she needs to be present in ways she never imagined. She starts to help him with small everyday things, actions that, before, seemed insignificant. As the disease progresses, these interactions become increasingly valuable. Simple moments, like a conversation at the table, gain an emotional weight that didn't exist before. And that's when we understand that life is made up of these little memories that we build with the ones we love. They are what remain, much more than the great moments. The revelation of the disease also brings with it a feeling of impotence. Gabby, so used to fighting adversity with effort and dedication, now faces an enemy that cannot be defeated with persistence. This lesson in vulnerability is painful but essential. We all, at some point, face challenges that are beyond our control, and accepting this reality is one of the greatest tests of maturity. Gabby, watching her father waste away, learns that not all battles are won with effort, and that some situations just require presence and love. As Gabby's father's health deteriorates, she begins to reflect on what really matters in life. All the money, material possessions, and worries about the future seem small compared to the possibility of losing someone you love. Her father's illness forces her to reevaluate her priorities, placing the value of human relationships above any material good. This is a lesson we should all learn sooner. In the end, what really matters are not the things we own, but the moments we share with those we love. It is common, in situations like this, for the whole family to feel the emotional impact of the disease. For Gabby, reality is even more difficult, as she finds herself in a position of emotional responsibility. Her father, who has always been her guide and protector, now depends on her for emotional and physical support. This creates a huge burden for someone so young, but it also transforms her into a stronger, more empathetic person. Learning to care for those we love is one of the most profound lessons that life gives us, and Gabby is, albeit involuntarily, going through this transformation. Another point that deserves to be highlighted is the way in which Gabby begins to value her father's every gesture, no matter how small it may be. His illness puts everything into perspective, and even the most mundane interactions take on new meaning. Small words of affection, gestures of support, everything intensifies as time together becomes scarcer. Illness, despite all the pain it brings, can also be seen as an opportunity to strengthen bonds and learn to appreciate moments of true connection. And Gabby, in her growing maturity, realizes this clearly. Her father's illness opens a new chapter in Gabby's life, where financial issues and social challenges lose relevance in the face of the emotional battle she faces. And while dealing with this new reality, she still doesn't know that the biggest surprise of her life is yet to come. His father, with whom he shares such profound moments, still keeps a secret that will change everything forever. But that revelation will come later, as Gabby begins to understand the true meaning of love and sacrifice. The moment Gabby discovers her father's secret is as surprising as it is transformative. Throughout her life, she saw him struggle, live simply, always maintaining the family with the basics, without luxuries. And now, on the verge of losing her father, she discovers that he was, in fact, a millionaire. This revelation is a shock that mixes disbelief and confusion. Why would someone with so much money choose to live so modestly? And even more important, why did he keep it a secret? These are questions that begin to flood Gabby's mind and everyone around her. His father's decision to hide his fortune was no coincidence. He knew that money, as much as it made some things easier, should not be the center of his family's life. He wanted Gabby and all her loved ones to understand that true value is in the experiences, relationships, and lessons life teaches us. Many people think that happiness is directly linked to the amount of money they have, but Gabby's father wanted her to know that there are things much more important than material possessions. He preferred to teach his daughter to live with humility and to value what really matters. Gabby, upon hearing this revelation, is overcome by an avalanche of emotions. On the one hand, sadness over the imminent loss of his father. On the other, the surprise at discovering that his life could have been completely different. But as the penny drops, she begins to understand why her father made this choice. He wanted her to learn to fight, to value small achievements, and to live with what she had. Money, although useful, was not what would define her. And in a way, he managed to make Gabby learn this lesson in a profound way. Gabby's father's decision also raises interesting questions about how we view the role of money in our lives. Many believe that if they had more money, all their problems would be solved. But Gabby's father knew that money can be both a blessing and a curse, depending on how it is used. He chose not to let fortune corrupt them or take them away from the fundamental values he wanted the family to cultivate. Gabby, upon discovering the secret, understands that her father's legacy goes far beyond money. It is a legacy of character, values, and love. The impact of this revelation also extends to Gabby's own perception of her father. She always saw him as a simple man, but now she sees him as someone who made a great sacrifice to ensure that his family stayed together and focused on what really matters. Her father's true value was not in the millions he kept, but in the wisdom he imparted over the years. This is a lesson that few have the opportunity to learn, and Gabby, even in the midst of her pain, begins to appreciate even more the man her father was. As the impact of the revelation spreads through the family, others begin to question their own priorities. How would they use this fortune? Could money change family dynamics? These are natural questions that arise in situations like this. And this is where the true test of character comes in. Gabby's father knew that money could be a turning point, and that's why he chose the right time to reveal his secret. He wanted his family to be emotionally and spiritually prepared to deal with this new reality. The lesson that Gabby's father leaves, therefore, goes beyond the simple accumulation of wealth. He wanted his daughter to understand that someone's true value is not in what they have, but in what they do with what they have. That's a powerful message, especially in a world where materialism often overrides deeper values. Gabby, now in possession of this information, has a choice to make. Follow her father's example and use money wisely, or let herself be carried away by the glow of wealth and forget the lessons she has learned throughout her life. Another point worth highlighting is how this revelation changes Gabby's perception of the future. Until then, she was focused on using her scholarship as a way to improve her life and help her family. Now, with her fortune revealed, she realizes that she no longer needs to worry about her finances. But instead of settling, Gabby understands that her mission hasn't changed. Money is just a tool. What really matters are the dreams and achievements she has always sought. And that's exactly what her father wanted her to understand. Gabby also realizes that with this new responsibility comes great pressure. Society's expectations of her will certainly change. But by following her father's teachings, she knows she needs to stay true to her values and use this new reality as an opportunity to do good. Money, when used well, can transform lives, and Gabby understands that she now has the power to impact not only her own life, but also the lives of many others around her. Her father, even though he is no longer present, continues to guide her through his teachings. This revelation, while shocking, is just the beginning of a new journey for Gabby. She will still have to face many challenges and make difficult decisions, but now, with her father's legacy in mind, she is more prepared than ever to move forward. And as she looks to the future, Gabby understands that her father's true legacy is not in the millions he left, but in the wisdom he shared throughout his life. And with this wisdom, Gabby is ready to face whatever comes. The revelation of Gabby's father's secret fortune not only brought financial relief, but also unexpected tension within the family. Money, as much as it seems to solve many problems, also has the power to create divisions, and that is exactly what started to happen. Some family members, dazzled by the idea of sudden wealth, found themselves spending extravagantly, buying things they could never have. Others, like Gabby, remembered the values their father always stood for: simplicity, humility, and the power of human connections. The divergence of opinions quickly transformed the family environment, raising the question: how to deal with a fortune without losing sight of the principles that united them until then. This situation is not uncommon when large sums of money come into play. It is natural for some people to be carried away by the temptation of consumption, especially when they have spent their entire lives fighting against scarcity. What Gabby needs to understand, however, is that the desire to spend is not necessarily wrong, but needs to be balanced with wisdom. After all, money can disappear as quickly as it arrived, and the last thing her father wanted was for his fortune to be wasted on momentary pleasures. Here, the real challenge is to find a middle ground. How to enjoy the benefits of wealth without distancing yourself from the values that were taught from the beginning. Gabby, with her growing maturity, begins to realize that money cannot be the central factor that dictates family relationships. If they allow this to happen, they risk losing something much more precious: the union they have always had. She remembers how her father valued simple family moments, the laughter, the dinners together, the small celebrations. All of this was far more valuable than any material item. But how can you convince others that money is not the solution to all problems? That's Gabby's dilemma: keeping her family together while trying to keep fortune from corrupting them. Another important point is how each family member deals with inheritance in different ways. Some see money as a symbol of freedom, the chance to finally live without restrictions. Others, like Gabby, understand that with great sums comes great responsibility. Life, in some ways, becomes a little more complicated when there is so much to lose. Gabby's father, in his wisdom, knew that money could be both a blessing and a curse, depending on how it was used. And now, it's up to the family to discover which path to choose: that of wisdom or that of waste. The family conflict intensifies when some begin to question why the father hid this fortune for so long. Did he not trust them? Or did he believe that the family was not ready to handle so much money? These questions create resentment and distrust, emotions that Gabby desperately tries to contain. She knows that her father had the best intentions and that his secret was a way to protect the family. But not everyone can see things that way. Money, which should be a gift, begins to seem like a curse, dividing people instead of uniting them. Amid this tension, Gabby begins to question the value of money itself. She always believed that hard work and perseverance were the pillars of a successful life. Now, with millions at her disposal, she fears that wealth will distract her family from these principles. She can already see some members moving away from the values their father held dear, seeking immediate pleasures and forgetting what really matters. This is the time when Gabby needs to take on a leadership role, guiding her family back to the path her father had charted, a path of simplicity and love. However, this leadership does not come without challenges. Gabby finds herself in a delicate position, where she needs to be firm, but also empathetic. She knows that her family members, like her, have also faced difficulties their entire lives, and now that money is available, it is natural that they want to take advantage. But the line between taking advantage and abusing is a fine one, and Gabby understands that if she's not careful, she could end up creating more conflict than she resolves. Their father, in his wisdom, left money as a means of improving their lives, not destroying them. Now it's up to Gabby to remind everyone of that. Another interesting aspect of this conflict is how money, which should bring security, ends up bringing fear. Fear of losing, fear of deviating from values, fear of destroying family relationships. Gabby feels the weight of this responsibility on her shoulders. She always believed that, with effort, she would be able to provide a better life for her family. But now, with the inherited fortune, she realizes that things are more complicated than she imagined. It's a moment of self-discovery, where Gabby begins to understand that not everything can be controlled, and that sometimes the biggest challenge is finding balance in the midst of chaos. What's interesting about this family dynamic is how money, instead of being a facilitator, becomes a kind of test for the values and principles that Gabby's father taught. And that's exactly what he wanted: to test whether the family would be able to maintain its unity and character even in the face of so much wealth. Gabby understands this lesson deeply, and now more than ever, she feels the need to protect her father's legacy. But how do you do this without imposing your own beliefs on others? This is the real challenge she needs to face. And so, as tension grows within the family, Gabby realizes that the real battle is not over money, but rather over preserving the bonds that unite them. His father left much more than a financial inheritance. He left a legacy of love, respect, and humility. And while some family members struggle to find their way amid so much wealth, Gabby knows she needs to be the voice of reason. The next step will be crucial in ensuring that the family does not get lost in the illusory glow of fortune. As Gabby's story comes to an end, the most important lesson that emerges is that true wealth cannot be measured by money or material possessions. Gabby's father, in all his wisdom, made it clear that despite his wealth, he valued the moments he spent with his family much more. It was in these moments that he found the true meaning of life, and that is the most valuable legacy he could leave. Money, while useful, cannot buy the love, affection, or memories we share with those who matter most. And for Gabby, that's the biggest lesson of all. Along the journey, Gabby learned that happiness is not in the objects we own, but in the connections we cultivate. His father, by hiding his fortune, wanted his family to value the things that really matter. He knew that money can often corrupt the heart and keep people away from their true priorities. Therefore, he chose to live simply, teaching Gabby, by example, that true wealth is love. This is a lesson that few can learn in life, but Gabby, with her growing maturity, already understands this deeply. Reflecting on all the events, Gabby realizes that although her life has changed drastically, the most important things have remained the same. The money your father left behind can help in many practical ways, but it cannot replace the loving and learning moments you had together. And that's exactly what Gabby takes into her life from that moment on. The experiences you shared with your father, the values he passed on, and the memories you made together are what will truly shape your future. This story teaches us that, no matter how much we seek comfort and financial stability, it is the relationships we create that truly sustain us in difficult times. When Gabby's father became ill, it wasn't money that brought comfort, but rather the presence and love of his family. This is a teaching that applies to all of us. We shouldn't wait to lose someone to realize the value of small, everyday interactions. The true legacy we leave behind are the memories and lessons we pass on to those around us. Gabby, now tasked with carrying on her father's legacy, understands that money can be a powerful tool, but that its use must be guided by strong values. Instead of spending her fortune on superfluous things, she knows she needs to make choices that honor her father's teachings. This could mean investing in experiences that strengthen family ties, or even helping those who are in situations similar to the one she faced. The true purpose of the fortune you inherited is to create a positive impact on the world around you. The final lesson that the video teaches is that money can provide us with many things, but it cannot buy what really matters: the love of a family, the unity between people, and the memories we create are priceless. Gabby, remembering her father's words, realizes that this is the greatest wealth she could have received. The money may run out one day, but the lessons his father left behind will never be forgotten. And this is the inheritance that really matters. As Gabby moves on with her life, she carries with her the wisdom her father passed down. Life, she understands now, is about moments, not things. It's the moments we build with those we love that truly define our journey. His father, with his example of humility and love, showed that true success in life is not about accumulating wealth, but about living with purpose and meaning. And Gabby, with a heart full of gratitude, is ready to carry that message forward. The most beautiful thing about this journey is that, in the end, Gabby realizes that, although she inherited a great fortune, she was already rich before she even knew it. The wealth that his father has provided him over the years, through love, dedication, and life lessons, is something that money could never buy. And it is this understanding that makes all the difference. Gabby now knows that the true measure of a successful life is not how much we accumulate, but how much we positively impact the lives of those around us. Thus, Gabby's story reminds us that the true inheritance we can leave for those we love is not in material possessions, but in the lessons and love we share throughout our lives. Money may come and go, but love and memories are eternal. Gabby, with all the wisdom she has acquired, is ready to walk her own path, knowing that the greatest wealth she has is in her heart, not in the bank. And that's a lesson we can all carry with us. After all this surprising history, can you see how the decisions we make throughout our lives shape not only our destiny, but that of the people we love? Gabby's father left a legacy that goes far beyond money. He showed that the true value of life is in the connections, in the moments we share, and the lessons we impart. And you? How have you been using the time you have with your family and friends? Are you valuing what really matters, or are you stuck in the distractions that the modern world imposes on us? Now is the perfect time to reflect. What would you do if you were in Gabby's shoes? Would you give the same importance to values, or would you get lost in the glow of wealth? If you want to continue learning valuable lessons like this, which go beyond the obvious and challenge your beliefs about success, family, and life, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Each video brings a new perspective, and you won't want to miss any opportunities to become an even better version of yourself. After all, we are all on this journey of self-discovery and growth.